Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, children, denizens, Nephilims, demons, I know you guys are listening. What's going on? Westmarch Workshop is back again, episode 141, just climbing up those leaderboards, or technically we're climbing down. We're losing ranks with every episode, but that's okay because we continue to stay dedicated to our core audience, even if it means less time to grind Paragon. No worries. Today, we mourn the end of A Time Gone By. Season 13 is out the window, although I feel a lot of people are actually quite happy about that, feeling perhaps it went too long. So without further ado, we have other topics as well, but that's the main one we're going with. We're going to go ahead and get the show started. Mr. Nine, what's going on?
Oh, hi.
The two of us are back.
The prodigal sons together again. It's been a few moons. Here we go. We were just talking about going through and having like this professional speech and getting into like the better quality production, and right out the gate, I am tongue-tied.
All right, cut. Take two.
All right. Here we go.
Yo, what's your boy look like?
But no, I am doing well, sir. I am doing well. How about you? What have you been up to these past couple of weeks, sir?
Dying. My friggin' allergies, man. I thought I was clear. I thought we had escaped because usually April for me, the spring allergies go in full force. I have to get Zyrtec, Claritin, all that stuff. And I thought I was going to like save money in the budget. Didn't have any of it through April at all. And then all of this month of May. Holy moly. Every day was just roll the dice. Are you going to wake up with runny nose, red eyes, both, sore throat? Like, it was crazy, man. So, you know, the last few days, it's been mostly going away. So I think we're perhaps just burning off all the pollen and stuff now that it's getting pretty darn hot here in Boston. But it's been a brutal battle, my friend.
Yeah, May is pretty rough. I think it's like oak or something like that, at least down here, is in bloom, and one of my managers has been going through something very similar. He's had to like take like a couple days off like here and there, and then when he has been working, it's not been a pretty sight. We'll just say that.
I believe it. Yeah, man, it just rends you asunder. Sometimes you're functional but feel kind of just crappy. Sometimes you like just want to keep your eyes closed the whole day. So I guess if you have, although I used to feel if you have air conditioning, I felt it would kind of help because maybe you're not as irritated by, you know, the heat kicking up and stuff. But again, you're kind of also bringing in the air from outside with the air conditioning, perhaps, or like with fans and stuff. So I don't know. It's probably a bunch of circumstances that go with it. But allergies in general, just weird, man.
It is not a pleasant thing, and I count myself blessed that I never really seem to have that bad of an issue with allergies.
You lucky son of a gun.
Yep, I have seen for many people I've seen the effects, and it's not something I ever really want to experience.
Yeah, keep your fingers crossed.
Sorry.
Some people can still grow into it. Your turn could still come, so make sure you keep your karma good.
Yeah, that's now we're going way off tangent here. Ants and wasps, actually one of the side effects of their venom can cause you to become allergic to it. So that way if you're ever stung or bit again, it can cause an allergic reaction.
Oh.
Yeah, so the more that you're actually exposed to it, the more or less deadlier it gets as time goes on.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to sting them first before they sting me.
That is a viable strategy from what I'm told.
But yeah, man, besides allergies, not too much has really been going on. It has been, yikes, I think maybe now 6 weeks since I've been on the show. So a lot has happened in terms of days gone by. Mostly, though, just grinding Diablo 3 still. So solo self-found, we'll get into that a little bit with just the Season 13 kind of wrap-up. But mainly been going back to the hardcore roots, playing that. Dipped my toe into PoE like you were mentioning on the last episode, so I can talk a little bit about that too. And in general, just trying to wade through the days and have some fun, still stream, and you know, it's looking a little dim but we have been warning everyone and expecting it as, in terms of D3 updates and such.
Mm-hmm. It
gotta fight it.
Shouldn't be a surprise to anybody.
Not at this point.
No.
How about yourself, though, man? What's been going on with you? I know you've been busy. Movie season, blockbuster.
Man, it has been a number, and even with this most recent week, with the release of Solo, kind of not hitting anywhere near industry expectations. My particular theater, we were still slammed. 4 screens, all sold out. Deadpool, Avengers, all still selling out, and then also kind of like the cross marketing with the counter programming with like a book club and Life of the Party have all just been still doing phenomenally well. We've been hitting some close to all-time record highs just every week in a row. And
doing numbers out there.
Oh, that we are. And then this is the last week of school, so starting next week is summer break, and we're starting the summer movie program for kids. And so it's earlier hours, and oh my god, I don't even want to think about it anymore. But yeah, in other news for gaming-related stuff, God of War, I finally finished platinuming, and I am
congrats.
Debating. Thank you. I'm debating going back and playing it on God of War mode, since I've beaten every other God of War on its hardest difficulty setting. Even though there's no achievement for it, just doing it to say that I did it. You know.
Gotta have it in your repertoire for war stories later on.
Exactly.
God of War stories.
There you go. I see what you did there, and I like it.
He likes it. He likes it.
Yep. I've got a little bit when we get into the season 13, and also mostly, the solo self-found on that one as well.
Ooh.
In other words, I'm actually, I know from time to time I used to talk about Star Trek Online. They have a new expansion coming out, and we get to play as Cardassians and Jim Hadar, which are, like my favorite races from all of the Star Trek series. That's next Tuesday, so...
Dude, seriously?
I'm excited for that.
I'm so tired of... They're in everything. They have a show on E!
Oh, God. No. Episode over. Episode over. That's it. Canceling the show. I don't even care about BlizzCon anymore.
Come on!
This is the final episode of the Westmarch Workshop. We're signing off, everybody. We're going to the outro screen, and that's it. If I had a way of scratching your name out of this outro right now, I'd do it.
It took 141 episodes. I finally found it. Jar Jar couldn't do it.
Nope, but the Kardashians did.
The Kim did it. Oh, boy. I'm sorry.
I need a shot.
Get this man some alcohol. Need a long shot.
Oh, I see what you did there.
There it is. But hey, you mentioned the magic word. You did say BlizzCon, and I heard last episode you guys talking about the whole ticket rundown, ticket fiasco. I've seen in the community there are still a lot of people looking for tickets, which is to be expected. Because not everyone is able to get through on those first 2 days. Mm-hmm. They had the chalk sale, as we like to call it, Children's Hospital of Orange County, which is if you have baller amounts of money laying around, then of course it goes to a good cause, so it's worth, if you can't afford it, buying those tickets, because then you get to hang out with some of the Blizzard higher-ups, do a charitable work, and also still get access to go to BlizzCon itself. So I don't know. What have you been seeing in the community in terms of who's going? Any peeps? I saw Cool Story Bros going to be there. They were able to get their hands on quite a few tickets and help the community out.
Yeah. Our resident Dread Scythe was also able to get some tickets, mostly through your clicking skills there, and your
APM.
Yep, that amazing Diablo APM going through and coordinating with a lot of people in the community. So we do have a lot of familiar faces from the Diablo community that's going to be there. So whether we get a big announcement, which kind of doesn't seem all that likely, or at least I'm keeping my expectations low on them announcing anything big at this year's BlizzCon. It at least is going to be again another big community year. I can't wait to go through and take another big community photo and make that my pinned Twitter image for the next year.
You got to update that, right?
Yeah, every year.
And hopefully every year we can keep making that bigger and bigger. It's kind of funny though, as the game gets older, we seem to be bringing more Diablo people to BlizzCon, which you think it would kind of go the reverse way, perhaps. So it's actually great though that we can continue to have that, like you said, big community presence. Because if at any point that there is a low point at BlizzCon for Diablo, which has kind of been the case in most times, we still have.
Not to be the negative Nancy, but it can't get much lower than this without actually just removing it from the venue.
Just no booth at all.
I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, me too.
I do wonder, though, I guess we can use that as a branch into speculation-ish, because in the past, every game has always had some sort of demo or playable thing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what would they demo?
They could do another event like what they did this last BlizzCon, hopefully without redoing the same exact GR, but just having another handcrafted experience. You know, like it's a BlizzCon only Greater Rift that you get to do, which which I wish that they would do within the game, because that Greater Rift was amazing, and it's something that we've talked about, you know, multiple times on the show, and something that they could do that kind of mimics like the WoW Mythic Dungeons.
Yes. Yep.
And then they could just have, you know, have like the base difficulty, instead of scaling like a GR, they could be, well, now Nightmare, and the enemies have, like, all the enemies are molten. And then Hell, all the enemies are molten and frozen. You just adding on fixes as you go up in the difficulty.
All right, just some more mechanics to work around.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could be cool. It would add another just extra thing to do, you know.
Mm-hmm. But
maybe. So go ahead.
I was just gonna wrap it up with, like, this year I would be happy if they brought back the Slaughtered Calf Inn.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, just a place to hang out, have the demo station kind of like integrated into it, and just have the Diablo devs kind of hanging out and, you know, giving talks, since there wasn't really any, like, even lightning talks last year. Even if they don't want to go through and do that, if they could just have people, you know, just to stand around and chat with, maybe that they could go through and give some post-mortem conversations about Reaper of Souls. You know, keeping the talk instead of looking at the future, kind of like the things that they learned of in the past.
Yeah, some memories. And that's a good point, because I feel that was sort of when we did have this Slaughtered Calf Inn, that was kind of what it essentially was. Because if you look at last year, remember hanging out with like Jason, Tiffany, and other employees, they kind of had those stations or time slots where they had to be at the demo booth. And that was kind of the, you know, reverse of what we had when we had the Slaughtered Calf Inn, where they would just have sort of those time slots to be present, right, and go to different tables. That's how we actually got to talk to Josh, because he was like, hey, I'm here for, you know, 30 minutes. Let's hang out and chat. So yeah, I think the ability to just have that, because it's kind of weird, like if you're in line, yeah, you can kind of chat to one of them if you're near them, but then the line moves and now that conversation's cut off. Whereas if you're just sitting at a table, you got a beer in your hand, they got one too or something, you know, it kind of it facilitates that. Let's have a conversation, let's casually chat it up. So yeah, I hope that comes back. I think that'd be great. And you could also kind of, what's the word, afford or culpable? No, I'm just kidding.
You tried. I appreciate that.
I was trying to work it. I guess justify, there it is, having a smaller demo area, if, you know, there isn't that much to demo, by having, hey, we have a big bar area and a lot of seating arrangements here that, you know, it's taking up space, so we can't have more demo machines.
And that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think everyone would be okay with that.
Yeah, I would honestly, if they don't have any new announcements, just something to, again, this last BlizzCon was kind of community focused with the panels, but I would like to see the actual, like, the Diablo presence itself, the entire presence of the convention, be more community focused, by like bringing back the Slaughtered Calf Inn, just having a place that you could go through and hang out. Or, you know, maybe last year they didn't want to do any interviews with any of the developers or anything like that, but even if we could just talk with them, you know, it's like, well, now that things are kind of like in maintenance, maybe we could go back and talk about some of the things that you did in the game. Like, how do you feel that, the kind of like the transition away from like the set normal nightmare hell inferno difficulties to more of a linear scaling feature worked? What are some of your takeaways, and what challenges that made for the development of the game? Or if there was like a single item of fix that you could remove, what would it be? Just kind of things that they can compare and contrast, that they might go back and change from the development.
For sure. What I'd really like to ask them about is even what they feel the landscape of ARPGs is doing right now, because we have what we kind of been touching on as a thread throughout the last few episodes. These new entries coming in with Last Epoch, Wolcen, Path of Exile still existing and continuing to get updates. I'd be curious to see what they're playing, if they are adventuring into any of these other games, and just kind of what they think of the landscape, maybe what some of the games are doing well and they would like to, they don't have to promise like, yeah, we like this idea, we'll pull it into the next Diablo or something, but just kind of check the temperature of how they feel the ARPG landscape is, because it's something we talk about pretty often in a future forward looking way. And I can understand if they don't want to necessarily like talk too much about what's happening, because that can get spun out of control, go to the forums like, oh my god, they said like they liked Demon Hunter and Path of Exile, which doesn't even have a Demon Hunter, but like, oh my god, so it's going to be in the next game, or you know what I mean? So, but it could be fun to just get a general glance of, or even just like where gaming is or streaming. Like you could get so many cool conversations.
Yeah. And speaking of streaming, what if they actually had went through and set up a section, kind of like within like this proverbial Diablo community area, where they actually take some of the bigger name streamers such as yourself or Big Daddy Den or Bloodshed or Riker, and actually like sat you guys down for like an hour or so and publicized it, put it out there like, hey, if you're at the convention center and want to come talk to your favorite Diablo streamer, this is where they'll be, going and answering questions. Maybe putting the spotlight on some of the actual community members instead of the development team.
You know what? That's actually a really cool idea. You almost just sparked, or not almost, you did in my head. It's essentially like lightning talks, but instead of the devs, it's the streamers. You can almost have it that way.
Yeah, that is just some of the things that they could do. Like if community is going to be the focus, well, hell, let's focus on the community itself. The Blizzard has the ability to shine that spotlight wherever they want to, and that's where, no matter like how big your reach is, as like whatever the biggest name on Twitch is for any Blizzard franchise, Blizzard themselves will always be bigger and have a much farther reach, and that they'll be able to go and pull even more people, towards that particular aspect of the community.
And that's even a great idea just from the standpoint of looking at last year, because personally for me it was really great to be included in the panel last year, but again, it was 4 of us up there, and then Bloodshed on the other one that was more of a mixed gaming genre panel. But imagine if it's something like you're suggesting, where it's maybe just a smaller, like maybe a streamer and a dev and Brandy or something of that conglomeration or formation. You could roll through a bunch of those throughout the day, and so you get exposure from more people, so no one necessarily has to feel discluded. Like, of course you might not be able to get everybody that streams Diablo 3 in their lives or whatever, but you're certainly able to run through more than what we had last year. So again, pushing forward that community, since that really is, I think, what will hold everything together as we wait, right? If the community is finding ways to not feel impatient or toxic, or just like is finding ways to keep loving each other, then I think that'll go a long way to keeping the peace while we wait.
You just it's something out there that kind of changes not the narrative, but I guess the discussion of the community itself, back in on the community. What are the things that they enjoy about the game, or even just what do they enjoy about the community itself?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can just get some more deeper dives.
And who knows, we might even get something substantial, like a maybe, even though it's kind of like a maintenance mode now, even Diablo 2 every couple of years got a content patch with some new items and such. They might go through and like show off. Well, we're changing kind of like the development cycle to like once a year. We'll go through and like reevaluate while development assets are being diverted to a different project or somewhere else. However they want to word that they're working on Diablo 4 without stating that they're working on Diablo 4. Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. I didn't think about that angle yet, but yeah, if we could get some direction perhaps on where D3 is going to be held in terms of priority. I don't expect that they'll be like, this is exactly what we plan to do. Patch is coming November 1st of next year or something, but at least maybe a mention of the cadence of maybe if things are going to slow down. Because I was having a discussion with someone yesterday, and my thought process was Blizzard usually doesn't tell us what they won't do, right? So they're never going to say, we're not going to update this game anymore. It is in maintenance mode, but they might say, yeah, we have some plans to do X, Y, Z. And the same way I feel it was 2 BlizzCons ago, where they kind of gave us the lay of the land. They were like, yeah, the challenge rifts are coming. We're going to give you Kanai's Cube, the armory. Like, we kind of got all these extra features of what was coming, and then they were staggered into different patches and releases, right? So it kind of gave us a lay of the land for what to expect. So maybe I don't know if it would be that detailed, but something like that could be cool.
Yeah, pretty much anything at this point would be cool,
That's true too. Anything.
Yeah. More.
Actually, I wanted to take a quick moment though, because usually we don't have, we have so many things we're trying to get through in our little notes. But I noticed Sunrunner in chat is asking a question. I think it's a compelling one. I want to see what your opinion is on it. But he or she says, I've been seeing a lot of new players coming in the last month or so. What do you guys attribute to this? And also noting that new players are mentioning how different the community is. It seems that everyone's willing to help people out. So I'm curious, do you feel like you've been seeing, because I personally feel in my streams at least, there have been a lot of people that are like, hey, I just picked up the game 2 days ago. I just picked it up a week ago. Way more than I would think kind of would be finding Diablo at this point. So can you think of anything that would bring people in now, or is it just random?
I think maybe like as far as people going through and coming in like within like the last couple weeks might actually have something to do with like, hey, we've announced that the season is ending, and so there might be those not so much new players, but people that are like, oh, I've been putting off the season for too long, I'm going to go through and try it out. Or people that were kind of interested in the game, and then now all of a sudden they see it because the news is out there. They actually are, they're posting articles about the season ending, and it's going to be going around different places in the gaming sphere and such. So they'd be like, hey, Diablo Season 13 is ending, get in there, and, finish your goals beforehand. And they're like, I've heard a lot about this Diablo game. Let me go ahead and try it. Combine that with just, the bunch of sales that they've been doing, that people might have picked it up and just not have gotten around to playing it. And just now going through and being like, oh, hey, even though, like, this article is about, like, a season ending, that just reminds me that I've got this game that I should go and try out.
I think all those are definitely compelling reasons. I actually, as you were talking, was thinking of potentially another one too, is Blizzard's really good at their cross-promotion. So with Battle for Azeroth coming out, with Overwatch still being a pretty hot commodity, I almost wonder if there are players that are new to those games or communities coming in, and then as they're realizing that, oh wait, BFA is still a couple months away, yeah, I'm playing Overwatch, but I want to break from the saltiness of losing or something. Oh yeah, there are these other Blizzard games. Oh, and there's Diablo 3. I haven't played that yet, so let me go and try that. So I wonder if it's just people picking up other offerings, and they might play something else. Or even now we're talking about kind of this resurgence or renaissance of ARPGs. I mean, Brevik is kind of out and about now with his It Lurks Below, so I wonder if there's a little spark from that too, with Diablo's name being thrown in the news media again. So yeah, I think it could be a little bit of these storms swirling in different pools that essentially brings everybody there, because I think you do make a good point, especially now that blog posts are going out with the end date, start date, people are chatting about it. Maybe that is the draw.
It could. It could, because one of the other things that I've noticed within, like, it hasn't really been a significant, like, presence, but just over the last couple of months, I've noticed that there have been people that have been doing, like, Heroes of the Storm cosplays, and they've been picking Diablo characters, and so even though they're you know, their fandom is from, like, the Heroes of the Storm is where they're picking it up from, that it's an actual Diablo character, and then that kind of gets a little bit of interest going.
I saw you tweet about that, and that's another point in the checklist for cross promotion ish type things, right?
Yeah, you know, the Deckard Cain announcement and just being added into HOTS, and just I think what was it, the new kind of like luchador promotion that they have going on in Heroes of the Storm. Diablo himself is one of, like, the big, like, title characters. As far as the skins go.
So that could feed into it too.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm is beautiful in the fact that it cross-promotes every other Blizzard game that there is.
All at once. Mm-hmm. And Longshot makes a good point in chat too, that we are getting, I think you were even talking about it, you know, the kids are out of school soon, so could be now people have, you know, colleges done, the schools are finishing up, so people with available time to play are now looking for something to do with their time.
This is also very true. Very true. Graduation gifts and whatever.
Oh yeah.
Here you go. You know, it's like all the children were talking about how popular this game was, so I got it for you, Johnny. Here you go.
Go slay some demons.
So,
I don't know.
Good moral values, slaying demons.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we took a little bit of a tangent from BlizzCon stuff.
No, I think that was a good space, a good kind of a good place to go to and a good discussion. But to talk on the other point about how the people in the community, or the new players, are saying how the community has changed and they're a lot more helpful. That's because I think kind of like what you have that's still playing the Diablo 3 right now are the people that just legitimately enjoy, you know, Diablo. And so we're all still here. We're not more of, like, the toxicity that a lot of times gets contributed towards the community. If you go to Reddit or the official forums, a lot of those people that are so negative and hateful, they don't actually play the game. They just hang around and troll on the forums. You know, so once you're in the game itself, that you will find a lot more people willing to help you.
Yeah, and I would say in general, the number of those troll types or rabble rousers, I love that word, I've probably lowered. You know, the ones who were really adamant about it or whatever, those could be the ones who are still holding on to their angry post, their daily angry post. But I would imagine just a lot of people have probably, like, lost their anger for whatever they thought was wrong and moved on. So perhaps some of the toxicity has just left the community by virtue of the game being out for as long as it has. And like you said, now the people that just truly enjoy it, maybe they're not happy with every choice or the state of the game at all times, but they are generally going to be more positive in including others and trying to get them into the game, because they realize these people that have big stake in it, whether you're a community builder or manager, you know, just in terms of, like, on our level of, you know, a podcast or someone that runs a clan, the more people you bring in, then the more people you have to listen to your content, you know, devour your content, be part of your clans, your communities and such. So it's important to, whenever you see new players, to actually help them and make them want to stay around.
And it now makes me wonder, what was kind of like the population of Diablo 2 over time? You know, especially when it started hitting content droughts. What would be, like, the causes of spikes in people going through and playing? Would it? I imagine it would be something similar, where you probably have spikes of new players going in and trying it out with, like, the ladder resets or something like that. They had picked up the game, they go and they look a little bit into it, and it's like, oh, there's this thing called ladder. You know, maybe I should wait till the next one. You know, so I'm not, like, so I can start off fresh. And so they actually wait, and you have a lot more people that just start around, like, these specific points in time.
I bet if you were to look at a spike of logged in players, you could probably tell without knowing what month, or if there were no, you know, labels on those data points. You could probably tell, oh, season started then, because it would just be those spikes, or ladder, similar to how it is with D3, when you see more of that highest uptick right at the beginning.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because that also is going to have like the returning players and everyone else.
Exactly. So yeah, new players, old players, somewhere if you're in the middle, I think you probably would see most of them coming together at that time. But I think usually if I ever get the question of, hey, I'm new to the game, should I do seasons or non-seasonal? It can depend on what time it is too. If it's halfway through a season, I think I would still encourage someone to stop into the season. Because the at least with D3 anyways, the thing about season, the way they set them up is you don't really lose anything by starting a season. The same, if you're on a fresh account, the same non-seasonal character you'd be making will just, that seasonal character would become that anyway. So to some degree, I guess the only thing is it could potentially be a little more confusing if you have adventure mode right away versus if you're brand new and not doing seasonal, then you're forced to go through that story, which I always say anyways to start with that because it just grounds you a little bit better.
It does, especially because even though like you could just start in adventure mode and everything will be level 1, not all level 1 monsters are equal. If you go through the story first, it will guide you through the zombies that take forever and a day to actually get to you and then sit there for a couple seconds before they even try to attack. You know, versus going up against like executioners, you know, or like dang it, what is the phantoms that shoot lightning at you from Act 5. I'm not talking about
anarchs.
Yeah, and gloams. Ugh. I still shudder about them from D2.
I still just remember, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but this actually, because you did read my tweet, which thank you for reading that last show with the D3 anniversary memories. One that I didn't get to include in my tweet because it's just a random personal story, but I still remember one of the few times we partied up before seasons were a thing, where I think we were just doing adventure mode. We both went into Gardens of Hope. What was it, level 1 or something? We're standing on the waypoint.
Oh god!
And the thing just drops. One shots her demon heart.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Oh.
This is the best and the worst.
That was just... I'm dead. You know, that still gives me anxiety when those circles start forming on the ground.
Me too!
Oh my gosh, I still remember that. Oh. Those things were terrible.
No, man, there's a few of your deaths that trigger me now, because that one time we played together, and you vaulted into the furnace on one of those area crater maps. Now every time I see one of those, I'm like, oh god, I remember.
Learn through my failures.
You make the mistake so I don't have to. Thank you for your sacrifices.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. Oh, man.
Oh, goodness.
And they've been nerfed like 3 times over now since that death.
They're still scary.
They are. Because what is it? I think that was before like Demon Hunters even had a cheat death passive.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, Demon Hunters didn't have a cheat death passive. They didn't have kind of like a safety zone, so you could teleport in on the waypoint and they would spawn as you're loading. And they also had barely any delay between when the circle would spawn and they would drop down. And they had their damage nerfed.
Yep. Yeah, maybe that's your claim to fame for the game, is you've helped future players, if they do get hit by those, hopefully not die.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully my death was instrumental in the nerfing of those demons.
Oh man. Good memories. I'll never forget. The word. Yeah, I guess that kind of wraps that question, which was a great one. Thank you for that, Sunrunner. And also BlizzCon too. We can expect to probably see more details roll out over the coming months. But usually pretty quiet for a few weeks after the ticket sales, right?
Yeah, we won't really get any announcements of things that are going on or happening besides the big esports events. If there is though anything that might kind of like rear its head up such as like a Diablo 2 remaster getting announced at Gamescom or something like that, that could spark some more discussion. But at the moment, we're just kind of running as is.
That is indeed where we're at. And we did kind of start to talk about Season 13 and the fact that that's wrapping up this coming Sunday, June 3rd. I saw you were in-game last night. I was lurking in offline mode, but I was watching your travails, and I saw you got your Guardian done.
I did. I had to go and get... Imperius is, even though I love Tyrael, just everything about Imperius's design since the launch of D3 I've just loved. And the fact that like this was his season and the Guardian portrait, in addition to looking badass, has his spears, Solarian, in the portrait. I have to get this. I have to do it. And there's... even though we've been incredibly busy at work, I've been having to deal with a lot of family issues. I have a family member down in Miami that has been just really under the weather, and a lot of my free time has been spent going back and forth between here and Miami to go through, check on him, make sure that things are getting done and such. And so it's been a really rough season for me in terms of having the... thank you. Having the free time to go through and play, but... It was, I don't know, it was one of those ones where it's like, just like, okay, it's not just, well, I'm going to go through and, like, I want to work on getting a Pestilence set, or I want to go through and do this. I just had the goal, I'm getting Guardian, and I'm going to go through and do it. So I have, like, the little game plan set up, and I wrote the notes down of, how many... Well, I can go through and do this GR, so how many keystones do I need to go through and get that I can go and make sure that, I'll run a couple, turn my puzzle rings in the vault so I can have the gold, to go and do this, and just making sure that, all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted, or is it the T's are dotted and the I's are crossed, something like that. But it was just this past week, it was just... Well, I'll sacrifice. My sleep schedule's been shit already, so I'll just sacrifice a little bit more here and there, and get some playtime in, and then just I need to focus in. I'm just gonna go for the Rathma set since it's nice and easy. Go get that done, and the thing that surprised me the most is that I did like 99.9% of this solo, with the one exception is I could not get the Curses conquest for killing the 350 enemies out of the Cursed Chest event. And I had Tuba go through and help me the other night, which was just like one of those last things that I needed. But I had never before had tried to do the Greater Rift Solo 45 on a Necro, and oh my god, that was so easy.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, just with the Corpse Lance, Corpse Explosion build, it was just... It was...
You have so many multipliers, right?
Yeah, you just walk through it. It was... I sat there and it was like I used like one of my augments on the gear just in case, and then I'm 2 minutes into the rift and it's like, oh, I over prepared.
Yeah, better safe than sorry, I guess. But I think for a lot of that used to be such a tough conquest when it first came out. Like you had to, like you said, over prepare. Like you couldn't over prepare back in the day.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where it's like I remember doing it once on a Demon Hunter, and I really struggled. Though this was quite a few seasons ago, and so that's one that I've just always ended up skipping. Like I don't want to go through that again, type thing. And then just looking at everything that I could do in my off hours of playing, it's just, it wasn't that I chose to do it solo self-found. I just ended up doing it, solo self-found, in order to get through everything.
You didn't opt in, but you opted out of groups.
There you go. There you go.
No, it's a good... That actually, just a quick tangent, or sort of... I guess tangents are related. Any case. But yeah, I think that is a thing to see about Demon Hunters when you're thinking about even leveling one from 1 to 70, and how some of the strategies for other classes are, yeah, get this one item that has a great multiplier, for Blessed Hammer or for Hammer of the Ancients, and you're off to the races. But Demon Hunters really don't have a lot of those things, not until you get access to a Yang's Recurve or Dead Man's Legacy or something. So it actually makes it, we were talking about this yesterday, really hard for a Demon Hunter to get quick leveling 1 through 70, because you don't get any of those things that just rocket you forward. And it kind of carries into the GR45s as well. Like Demon Hunters in general are really propped up by their sets. So kind of an interesting sort of side note from that.
Yeah. And I don't know if they made any real significant changes, but when they did the last item balance pass, and they actually added some damage multipliers, back onto the items like the Yang's recurve and such, if that made that any easier, or if you noticed much of a difference this time around.
It definitely did for me, because I've done it a few times with the Demon Hunter since it's been a conquest over the course of a few seasons, and this was by far the easiest. I don't have a great memory, so I can't really remember exactly what it was like in the previous ones. But even this season with doing it solo self-found, so not having, a group to get you a bunch of Paragon early before you're attempting the conquest and stuff, it was really just transition every UE piece out, put in a random legendary, and just have Yang's recurve, Deadman's Legacy, and you could flow through it. That was all the prep you really needed. So it was pretty incredible. There have even been some clears, because a lot of those, like Tuba is saying, get translated to the challenge rifts, since they usually fall in a lot of the criteria that they're looking for those. And you'll see people with rare pieces on, like not even full legendaries.
Yeah, and I know that's one of those things that, like, these last few months, because the no set of 45 has been one of the conquests, that there have been a lot of people that have been doing it, and so we've been getting these really janky challenge rifts for the past couple of months. So hopefully going into season 14 we won't have that conquest, and it won't be quite as bad.
And we'll see some higher, greater rifts, or at least some more put together-ish builds.
Yeah, we can hope. I think, because I know, like, my CR clear was really fast. I think mine was only like 4 or 5 minutes. So I don't think that, like, with the CR clear that I did is going to be able to be flagged for going through, not CR, but the 45 that I did was too fast to be flagged for a CR, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, players wouldn't have enough place to go downward.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that they shot for was like 6-minute clears.
Right.
Which I wonder if we get a community together of people that, like, over gear like a 45, and we like legit sit there for 5 minutes and then clear it.
Try to game the system.
Try to game the system and see if we can get one of those in. Just keep going. Just keep doing like these like 45s to 50s until like we can go through. It was like, hey, that's my build. It's me. And this week's challenge rift.
Let's crowdsource it. We have the numbers. We have the people. We have the listeners.
Yeah.
All you have to do is make sure that you're picking the class, because the rotation for the challenge rifts is set, so it's always a specific class that'll come up. And from what we've heard is the greater rift that gets pulled is always from the class a week prior. So if you have if Demon Hunter is coming up, then the week before the challenge rift changes, you need to do a bunch of Demon Hunter 45s to 50s in that 6-minute window or something. So we'll flash mob it. We'll arrange somehow and get everybody trying.
We can do it. We can get it done.
Yes.
But
yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that pretty much wraps up my season 13. Was like legitimately just, there's my word. Like maybe like a week and a half of just like a little bit of playtime at the beginning of the season, and then just like the last couple of days just like cramming in like a couple hours like every night, or like an hour before work, of just doing as many GRs as I could, as high as I could push it, to go through and get everything done. And so I think maybe I have to go back and check. I've got like maybe 13 hours, on this character for the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of goes to show, though, one of the threads that I think we've had throughout maybe the last couple of years of doing the podcast, we're talking about how originally people were like, man, season journey is so hard to get to conquest, get the stash tab and stuff. And now you literally, 10 plus hours and it's done. And that's legit over the course of what is usually a minimum 12-week season, 1 hour per week. They've made it very accessible at this point.
that they have. I'm actually going through and just double checking, making sure that I have this proper. Sorry for the sound effects. Okay, I was 10 hours off, so 23 hours in 2 minutes is my play
Even
time.
still,
yeah.
So that's like what, 2 hours per week instead.
Yeah, and Guardian could be yours, and that is like almost completely solo. That if I went through and tried to do that cursed chest, which I actually went and paid it forward. There's another clan member, Fokbq, FOQBOPQ something.
Sure, LMNOP.
Yes, that's the one. Last night, after I completed my 45 run and got Guardian, like just a couple minutes later, hey, is there anyone in clan that could help me with the Cursed Pete achievement? I have it in my game, and it's like, I'm there, because someone helped me, so I have to go through and then help someone. And it was just like it's just. Like, I just need someone there to kill like a couple mobs because I can get like 341 dead consistently. Yeah.
Nice. Kept the karma in good check.
Yep.
Excellent.
But how did your season go? How did the solo self-found challenge leaderboard end up looking? At the end of it compared towards the beginning.
So I think I'll take that question in two parts. For my non-personal side of it, just from the administration part and kind of, I guess, creating this thing, it's been fascinating. We definitely had a lot of activity at the beginning. Like, it was almost to the point where it was really hard as an administrator to keep up with solo self-found. We had so many questions, so many entries, and I think it kind of showed the cadence of how people play the season. The excitement for it at the beginning, tons and tons of progress being made, people really excited about their clears, comparing to one another. So we saw just a lot of like activity in the Discord. Again, a lot of rankings being submitted. Like, I don't think I've visited the European region more than this season, trying to verify results and see like what was going on over there and stuff. So it was really great on my side just to be very in tune with what was going on with a lot more players than I usually concern myself with, which is actually very ironic since it's solo self-found. So you think I'm only concerned with myself, right? So that was kind of a peculiar side effect from administering it. But in general, I want to say that I found it to be a successful endeavor. I think for the amount of time that we had to lead up to the season, we tried to strategically make it so that it was announced in a way that people would have it in mind as the season started, rather than announce it too early and then have it get lost in, people making a bunch of guides and things and the Reddit getting flooded and it falling off the front page and stuff. So I think now that it's known, it's a thing that is out there as a commodity for people to try. I imagine that there's the potential we could even have more people deciding to go into the SSF route, especially as maybe more of their friends, decide, oh, this is the third season on the same patch, I've done it already. Maybe you still want to keep playing, so then you just decide to go solo. So I'll be curious to see what the participation numbers are like for next season. But I think probably the most staggering result, we've had a couple of people who are usually players that do a lot of grouping and stuff. Like one of the guys, Necronomicon, he was or is a hardcore player, and he's in one of the bigger hardcore clans, H&H. And last season, he spent a ton of time doing like the meta stuff, getting a character geared up, High Paragon, all that goodness. And he found that his results like really weren't that far off. I don't know if it's the fact that maybe because it's the first SSF and you're really trying it, that you're trying really hard. So maybe it makes up for potentially taking it a little easier when you're in groups because you're like, oh, well, I just have the support of the group. I know what I do. I've done this for seasons and seasons. But his results, I think he played pretty much every class were about 1 or 2 greater rifts off of what he achieved last season, which is pretty incredible.
That is.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked by that as figures of being able to compare, and kind of showcase that even if you do decide to play full solo, you're still not that far out of the running of what you can do when you're in a group. And who's to say maybe his group could have been more efficient or maybe spent more time, but he said his playtime was pretty comparable, things like that. So I think if anything, SSF just teaches you how to really be efficient with your time and kind of shows you, I guess, the good and bad of how where you spend your time can either impact you in a positive way or a negative way. So it shows you kind of what's important about how to build your Paragon up as a player, maybe even how to play your class better. That was one of the takeaways he had as well. But yes, yeah, go ahead. Please interrupt.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say maybe it could also be depending upon how many deaths that you had when you were solo self-found versus how many deaths your team had, because that's one of those ones when you're playing them like a dedicated group, that time might be diverted away, from doing like your rat runs or what have you, into well, we've got to power level him real quick and then run through some stuff just to go and get him and his gyms back up there. Kind of like taking a little bit of a dip, even though it might take just a couple hours out. At that point, that would take away like the efficiency, of the group versus solo.
That's a good point. And I think that's even another aspect for particularly in hardcore where it definitely hurts a lot in SSF in particular if you lose a character, especially if you haven't yet gotten to that point where maybe you were farming pretty steadily, got a bunch of backups and things, just because you have to do it all on your own again, right? And so that could really take a lot of wind out of your sails. I think we even saw a few people retire relatively early in the season, and I think they were victims of that, where they were planning to do hardcore SSF, died, and then they're like, well, I died. Maybe it was their goal, if as long as they kept the character alive, they'd keep doing SSF, and as soon as it died, they'd finish. So we definitely saw a few retirements from that. I was just going to say the only other, well, not the only, but one of the other takeaways that were notable, still had a lot of people getting entries in SSF that are highly ranked on the regular, normal, quote unquote, leaderboards. So it was, again, another sort of testament to if you're playing solo, and I guess, clearly looking at Paragon, because you can see what Paragon people were at when they got clears, if you do the view hero details and stuff. You can see there are some players in there from SSF mixed in with their, sub 2K Paragon, right alongside somebody who's got 3K or 3,500 or something. And I think it speaks again to that, how well do you know your playstyle? How well do you know the builds? How dedicated are you? How, just what level of participation and, I guess, cunning are you throwing into SSF? And I think it probably self-selected, at least at the high end, the people that were going to be very grind-oriented, very probably knowledgeable already, to give themselves that additional challenge. Because I guess at the end of the day, I almost found a way to look at it as it's essentially checking yet another box. Like when you decide to make a hardcore character, you're also then deciding to add another restriction of SSF. So it felt almost another layer to add to make the game harder for you.
And maybe that's something that people are looking for. This is in Diablo 2. That was the big thing. Well, I'm gonna do a double dream sork, and run around as a werebear, killing things with enchant. Because it's like, well, the game, lost its its difficulty. It's the same thing, and I've killed Bale. I've gotten the 99 character. What's left to do? I'm gonna go through and do something that I normally wouldn't, in a regular playthrough. And solo self-found could be that, for a lot of players, where it gives them something new, a new take on the game that they've already played through, for thousands of hours.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's going to be offered again in Season 14. I think I'll mainly be doing more administration work for it than potentially participating. I might go back, maybe oscillate each season to keep it fresh for myself. Maybe one SSF season, one quote-unquote normal season, go back to SSF. But we will be having it. There have been a bunch of people asking if it's coming back or not. It is. And I think I'll make couple videos, definitely one like right after the season 13 ends to wrap it up, talk about the rankings, kind of archive those, and then open up the forums, like I'm using it as a general term, like Discord, email, like however people want to reach out to discuss what they enjoyed, maybe didn't like, things they would potentially change, and see if we can get some feedback, and then take that into the next version and see if we can grow it a little bit more.
Yeah, that is one of those ones where I will probably, like, maybe not intuitively be participating in, but be participating in.
Doing it without knowing it.
Doing it with, yeah, exactly. Doing it without knowing it. Doing it because I didn't have any other choice. Yeah, I think that's something that I could definitely ascribe to. Depending upon what the well, I don't know. It's like this season opened up my eyes about like what you actually can do when you commit yourself, to like specific goals. So yeah, maybe next season I'll go through and give it a try. Not to go through for the leaderboard, but just to be there in
Get the
spirit.
experience.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And I guess that does lead us to, we do know, again, Season 14 kicks off on June 15th, which is a Friday again. Excellent, excellent.
Even though now I personally can no longer take advantage of the Friday releases, I am loving the fact that they have gone back to doing these Friday launches, because I think it is overall better for the community.
Yes. Look at you being so selfless.
Taking one for the team, man. Taking one for the team.
What a guy. This guy. Not even being a dick right now.
Totally not being a dick. I'm not even being culpable either.
Legitimately.
If you weren't here, if you're listening to this on YouTube or iTunes, I just suggest that you go back and you watch the highlight, or not the highlight, but the saved clip of the Twitch broadcast, so you get the pre-show to understand what it is that we're talking about right now.
Or don't.
Yeah, or don't.
Just be mystified.
And culpable.
Legit.
Legitimately culpable.
Legitimately. One thing I wanted to throw on top of, before we go off the deep end, if we haven't yet, one thing I wanted to throw on top of the Season 14 date is announcing that Level with a Cause is coming back, and that is a thing that's run by Wolf Crier, who we've had on the show before. You did a nice segment with him. This guy has taken on the effort to bring the community together to do some good in the world outside of gaming, through gaming. And so this one will be supporting St. Jude's Children's Hospitals. The effort will coincide again with that first opening weekend of Season 14. And I think one of the new things he's trying this time is that, again, it's anyone that wants to stream the opening weekend for Diablo 3, but he's also opening to anyone that just wants to participate. So if you're just going to stream a game that weekend, it's kind of just like now a fundraising weekend. And if you play Diablo 3, then, it kind of ties you in deeper to the community. But if not, then you can still try to do some good and raise some money for charity.
Yeah, which is nice since there are a couple of like well-known Diablo community members that do variety streaming, that they can at least participate without messing up like their own schedule, or what their own individual community is more driving them towards at that point in time.
Exactly. So that should be cool. Hopefully get a good turnout. We raised a bunch of money last season. Hopefully can keep surpassing those numbers and growing. I'll be participating. I always love to do it. This will be my second time, I believe. So looking forward.
Yeah. Yep. Given the week that it is starting is The Incredibles 2. I will have some limited play schedule, so I don't think that I'll get a chance to support it from the aspect of streaming, but I will do my part as far as the point from donations.
There you go.
Yeah. Other than that, I think like the only other big thing within the kind of like Diablo community is we had a patch, another patch, the 2.6.1a, which brought about some
big patch, huge news,
server optimizations with back-end updates. But one of the other things that they didn't touch on, like the official notes, but the thing that we have at least been able to see from leaderboards is that seems to have been tied with another kind of a bot or third-party bandwidth. Some names have started disappearing from the leaderboards, and that's always a good thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Apparently, some programs don't work as well as they used to right now.
Such a shame.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's great timing. You do have a lot of people keenly focused on the leaderboards at the moment as they try to get those last pushes in for the end of the season. So great that this just popped up. Hopefully, disabled any additional things people were trying to use to get high results that they didn't deserve. And maybe now the level playing field will be there. People will be excited. Use the weekend to really just go ham, get those good results. And then, yeah, like you said, others getting removed from the boards too. So you can kind of see clearly where you stand.
Yeah, and so if you weren't affected by this patch, then that means you were playing legitimately and you weren't culpable to those using third-party programs.
I see what you did there. Round of applause. we need a soundboard. But yeah, so tiny patch, big circumstances though, big efforts. Always like to see that, because I guess that was always the thing when this first popped up. Because do you remember the D3CAB, Community Against Botting? Like it was this big grassroots effort to get the developers, or Blizzard in general, like as a whole, to take notice of the fact that it felt Diablo 3 was just being very heavily cheated with botting and such. And then we started to get some words that they were going to do stuff, and then they did ban some stuff. And we're like, well, the thing now is that it has to continue. The war will never end, like you were talking about last episode. But hopefully the idea is that at least maybe twice a season or so, like we'll just see some action, so that it's always in the mind of someone that wants to try to subvert the system, that they're still paying attention to you. They will hopefully catch you. So maybe it dissuades them, because it's definitely about catching perpetrators, but also hopefully dissuading people from just doing it to begin with.
Yeah, which is the big thing, that showing that like certain patterns of behavior are just not accepted, and that we are going to take steps on not a scheduled but a regular basis that you won't be able to expect, and then just hit you with it, and knock a lot of those people that might be trying to game the system out.
Exactly.
And then it just won't be worth their time. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yep, because that is one very interesting thing. A while ago we were talking about how they had instituted some changes in the back end on Diablo 2, and had killed a lot of the bots, like almost all of the bots, and like the chat bots and such.
That's right.
Well, they're starting to rear their ugly head again. Which I find absolutely like, just like, when I saw that, I was almost like slack-jawed. Like, someone actually still cares enough to spend the time to fix their bot for Diablo 2? Like, is that still worthwhile? Like, that is shocking.
Truly. Hey, I guess once a cheater, always a cheater. Like that, it is pretty crazy. How much free time do you have on your hands?
Right, man. Maybe
That's some yard work for you.
Yeah, maybe they're like writing a doctorate in like computer engineering or computer programming or something, and so this is what their thesis is going to be about.
Look at Blizzard just helping people work in game, out of game.
How wonderful for them.
Bless their hearts.
But with that, I can't really think of too much more, unless you've got any other topics that you'd like to hit on before we start going over to the community section.
I mean, nothing else really. The one other thing was maybe mentioning just a little bit of Path of Exile, because that actually, maybe by the time people get this episode, will already be kicking off its league. It almost feels like we're becoming like the ARPG podcast, because we had the guys from Last Epoch on. We're talking about PoE a little bit more. Of course, we'll always be home to Diablo.
Oh, of course.
Of course. But just as I think I've mentioned several times, it's a good time to be exploring what else other companies are doing and such. And, we're not going to like give you all the news of other games, because like we could talk about Tencent and how they've acquired a big controlling stake in GGG, but we're not, because we're not a PoE podcast. But in any case, just to relate some of my play from PoE, it's a really interesting ARPG. I haven't gotten to endgame at all, so like I feel like I can't make great comparisons or just statements that are major because I don't yet fully feel like I grasp the game. But just from the early leveling and messing around with different skills and stuff, it's a fun game. There's cool mechanics. There's a lot to dig into if you love reading. There's lore for you, Nine. There's so many people to talk to. Just cool things seem to always be happening. The pacing seems great. So I don't know. I've enjoyed it. I've tried 2 different classes. I've gotten, I think, to Act 3, and I think there's 10 acts or something crazy, and I haven't leveled up nearly that high yet. And I'm not looking up anything or like guides or such. I'm legit just like discovering.
Ooh, for that game, that sounds rough.
But it's not yet. I'm sure it will be. Like once I get into a higher difficulty and stuff, I have no resistances. I'm sure I'll just be dying everywhere. But at least right now, it's still pretty entertaining. So yeah, fun game. And Incursion League is their new league. Starts on Friday. So like I was saying, maybe by the time people hear this, it's already going. But if you're looking for something else to try, especially with the timing, season 13 will be ending, and then you have a little bit of time before season 14.
There you go. There you go. And Path of Exile, don't they a lot of times do like themed leagues where they'll like have like a special event or some sort of special modifier for their leagues?
You're absolutely right. So yeah, this one's a Incursion League, and that doesn't really tell you anything about it, but the big thing with this one is that time travel is happening, which I found to be hilarious because last Epoch tweeted at them, they're like, hey, we like time travel too. Gotta love it. But basically for PoE, what it means is there's a new sort of feature added in where you can go back in time, and the way I understand it is events that you do back in time affect this temple that exists in the present timeline, and as you do things in the past timeline, you can then affect, when you go to the temple, the rewards that you get in there, the fights that you get in there and stuff. So you're basically like building the temple based on your actions in the past timeline, and then it can help you build up your character and get some like really sick rewards and stuff. So that's the caveat in this one.
Gotcha. I do wonder if that's something that they'll ever pull into Diablo. You know, but like, you know, they've done like the community buffs, you know, for like limited periods of time, but if they might have like a community buff through like the whole season, or set items don't drop, you know, you know, or only this one set item will, you know, like drop. Like you'll only have like the Hadrig's Gift will be like the only set that drops in the season for like all the classes and such.
Wow, that'd be nuts. I hope they do something, because I think that was always kind of what we expected, or at least thought it would evolve into over time. And then things never really got wacky. But it would be a great testing ground to do anything like that, because again, seasons are temporal, they're not permanent. So if you have one, just like in PoE, Bestiary League wasn't really well received, and that was the one that just ended. So they're not bringing any of those features back from Bestiary, but they give it a shot, right? And so you could have a season, like you're saying, where Lawn's the only thing that drops for set items. And maybe people like it, maybe they don't. But at some point, you just mix it up a little bit, and it puts a different spin on it without creating content, right? You don't necessarily need a developer with art assets and all this business, you know, balancing numbers and such. Just turn things off. You know, again, who knows how hard that is to do? So obviously, a little bit of...
Yeah, that's why my first thought would be to like a community buff, because it's something that already exists kind of like within the game code. So I imagine that it's, you know, would be easier that for them as far as diverting development time too, instead of just being like 4 days to 3 months, that changing that value at least would be a bit easier than adding in something, you know, something else like this set doesn't drop or only this set drops or something along those lines.
Sure, yeah, like a small start.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, I'd be down for it. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. And then as we go into the community section for this week, it is a bit shorter now that we've gone through, you know, like all of our backlog. But who knows? Like the one community email that we got is lore, and well, we know how that went last episode. Again, if you don't care about Diablo lore, I am sorry for the last episode and that very elongated rant about different lore within the game. But we'll maybe try to rein it in just a little bit on this one. But Watson again goes through and sends us an email. He has two questions. The first one is, which Nephilim faction in Sanctuary is considered the most powerful? And this one is, I guess, probably a two-parter. In that, like, there's not really, say, a faction of Nephilim. There was the what were they called? The Idarim, I think they were the Idarim. That back from the time of Odyssean in the Sin War, which was probably the only like true faction of Nephilim that existed on Sanctuary since kind of like the waning of the age of the Nephilim. But other than that, it's because like all humans are kind of Nephilim. They just lack that spark being ignited within them to awaken their true potential. So maybe like one of the spell casting guilds would be like the closest that you could call to like a clan of the Nephilim, of which like the Vajeri are one of the largest. And otherwise, if you're just looking at probably like the strongest nation, that would be I believe at this point it's either Westmarch or the Amazons of Scovos would be the strongest nations. Though it's hard to say after we don't really know what the situation of Sanctuary is after Malthael's attack, because like everyone got slaughtered. The necromancers, even that they are incredibly powerful, but there's few. There's only hundreds of them, and even their order got like completely wiped out by Malthael's attack during the events of Reaper of Souls. So, question is, good people, kind of, I guess. And the second question is, if demons are reborn in hell upon death, does this take place at a fixed location? And if so, could the angels and Nephilim just destroy those locations to prevent any rebirths? In this one, we don't know. Not a lot has actually been mentioned about the mechanics of these demons, coming back to life after they've been slain, besides the fact that just their souls kind of, float through creation back to hell, and they reform over time. And that's the extent of our knowledge. We don't know if they're tied to a specific place, or if they could just form like anywhere, or even if they could just come back to life within Sanctuary itself. We don't know. Just don't know. And with
we just don't know.
Yep.
What they have.
Don't know. And then from there, we also have not an email, but Dreadscythe has gone through and is in the process of making the Westmarch Workshop Challenge coin, which this is rewinding, back, a year now, if not more. A project that he's been kind of working on and off again for quite some time, since BlizzCon 2016. He's had this idea in his head. And so this is just some rough previews of some of the coins that he's been going through and making. These are just like a quick 3D printing job. And he said earlier today that he's actually revised the design a little bit and has the second test batch going through and coming out. So on our next episode, we should be able to go through and have those to show off.
They always remind me of, I know like eventually there'll be really nice like metallic ones, but I almost feel like you want to get a bunch of these and have like a checker set.
That would actually be pretty awesome. I would play
right?
I would play the hell out of that. Even though
cool.
I think I remember how to play checkers, but I might end up like trying to do weird L shapes and like, oh, this isn't chess. I'm sorry.
I thought you were gonna like 40k. It'd be like, I have a movement of 6. I king myself 8 times.
Well, my bolter firing checker piece is in rapid fire range, so I'm gonna actually like take out like 2 pieces.
Just obliterate the other half of the board. I win.
Exterminatus. I'm calling down Exterminatus.
That's how my sister plays board games. She usually just flips the thing.
It's an effective strategy if you never want to lose.
Yep.
Yep.
She's undefeated, just like the infinite.
Yes. We've never finished a game, but she's never lost.
That's right.
And then our one other community email that we got for this week is actually an item of the week. This one is going through and coming in from Trebor. And they go through and they sent in, they got a very highly coveted pair of cosmic wings.
Ooh. I've been searching for those.
Yeah.
Forever.
And these cosmic wings actually have stats.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It clocks in at 360 intellect, 348 armor, and increases corpse lance damage by 15%, with the secondary effects of golden health glow pickup range by 1 yard. Because
these are the Necro exclusive cosmic wings. That's why they have the corpse lance damage.
Actually, I think even though that corpse lance damage is necromancer only, that you can cheat and equip these on any class.
What?
Yes.
You sure that wasn't disabled with this patch in 2.6.1a?
You know, I don't know. This email did come in a few days ago, so it might have been before the patch.
Mm.
And you know what the absolute worst thing is?
What?
These aren't even bind on equip. He could sell these.
Wow.
Think about how much these could go for on the black market.
Dude, at least 2 Bs.
Easily max out the gold price in the auction house.
Heck, why not take it to the RMAH? 250 bones.
There you go. And you're set. You are set. That would pay off like both collector's editions in the Necromancer pack right there.
Or you could raise a bunch of skeletons with the bones.
There you go. That is 250 bones. That at least is like what, 3 skeletons?
At least. How many bones are in the human body? Not that many, right?
I don't know.
Actually, don't know. Wait, it's Lever 2000, right? Because it's 2,000 body parts or something. The soap.
Sure.
That's what the advertising told me.
I'll go with it.
Yep. 2,000 bones.
Yep. And anyway, so we definitely thank you for going through and sending in those cosmic wings for us on this episode. But if you want to go through and send feedback, questions, lore questions, or just epic loot or trolltastic gifts, still waiting for a crack sash from Diablo 2. All these years, still haven't gotten one. Go ahead, drop us a line. Westmarch Workshop at blizzpro.com. You can email us, and again, that's Westmarch Workshop at blizzpro.com. We are also on Twitter at the WM Workshop if you want to go through and tweet at us. And then we stream live every other Wednesday night at twitch.tv/BlizzPro at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. If you want to go through and catch the show while you're here, feel free to go and click the follow, so that way you get notifications of when we go live. And from time to time, some other members from the BlizzPro staff will go through, and they have the BlizzPro Adventure Club, where they do kind of a variety stream. No real set schedule on that one. They kind of come and go Mondays and Tuesdays, but sometimes Wednesdays when we don't stream, Thursdays, they're all over the place. Sometimes they'll play Blizzard games, but a lot of times you're just finding something random on Steam to go and have fun with. And if you want to go through and support the show or support the rest of the BlizzPro network, feel free to go through and subscribe. That goes towards helping not just the hosting costs for our podcast, but also well met in the addition to the rest of the BlizzPro network itself. And speaking of BlizzPro, you can go through and check out a lot of things that we talked about on the show and more at diablo.blizzpro.com. We are even in-game. We are the BlizzPro clan, and we've got plenty of spots open if you want to go and find a home for Season 14. Feel free to go and drop on by. There's also the Westmarch Workshop in-game community, and we have our own Discord server at discord.gg/BlizzPro. And then finally, you can go and find us individually. I am at 9ballgamer on Twitter, and you can find me at twitch.tv/9ball, because I don't know. Streaming is a thing. You can look at you can look at my overlay and the wonderful channel graphics that Dreadscythe made for me. But otherwise, if you actually want to watch a real Diablo 3 streamer, check out my main man here, Leviathan, at LeviathanD3 on Twitter and twitch.tv/Leviathan111. And with that, you've got anything?
Yes, I do have a leak to leak for anyone that got to the end here. Due to Bethesda's announcement earlier today of Fallout 76, I can confirm that the next Diablo will also be Diablo 76. It's the year of 76.
It is the year of 76, as foretold by Soldiers 76.
In the summer of 69.
In the summer of 69. Well, you have now also made me culpable to this leak for being a part of it.
And it's not an illegitimate one.
No, this is a legitimate leak.
I have to go leak right now.